Hey gorgeous, welcome to Happy Go Fabulous. I am so thrilled that you're here. This is our space where we get real about life, the good, the messy and all the juicy bits in between. Real talk, real life and a whole lot of delicious living. But I must warn you, listening may cause unexpected outbreaks of fabulousness and real life magic. Hi, I'm Catherine and I am so incredibly passionate about helping inspired, motivated, impact-driven, freedom-seeking people just like you to do the deep inner work to create those beautiful outer wonders in life. It's all about revolutionising your relationship with yourself, where you fall madly, deeply in love with who you are and create a life so fabulous you can't wait to jump out of bed every morning to live it. Ready? Because ordinary living is so last season. Life's waiting and it's time to make it fabulous. Let's shimmy on in. Hey gorgeous, how are you? I am feeling great. I've just come back from my morning session at the beach, my sunrise walks along the beach. And I've started those again lately. During winter, it was really hard to get to the beach because after some of the big storms, a lot of the sand was washed away and it left really big rocks, which were hard to get down onto the beach, especially at high tide. So it was tricky, and it seems like the ocean has worked her magic and has delivered some of that sand back, not all of it, but delivered some of the sand back along the beach. So it's much easier to get onto the beach. So I've sort of reinstated my sunrise morning walks, and that feels so good. Like it's just so beautiful being at the beach and lots of inspiration coming there. But I do feel a little bit tired today, in all honesty. Because I go to the beach at 5:30 in the morning, and then I come back. I'm there for about an hour, I guess. I do a walk with Boston, my dog, and we walk down the beach. Then I sit there for a little while and I do journaling or meditating or just contemplating the world. And then we come home and I start to get ready for the day. But I do feel a little bit tired today, so please excuse. I've got a few I always have dark circles. But anyway, I digress. This episode was part of it's come about through some of those morning walks that I have, but contemplation as to really whether I take a break from my podcast or not. And I've been sitting with that decision for a little while now. And I just thought, so I was pondering on that. And then I was pondering on other decisions that I'm making in life. And a lot of my coaching clients at the moment are going through similar processes of where they're pondering whether they will do something or won't do something, and just what the process around that is. So I've been sharing a lot with my clients about some different decision-making processes, and I thought that could be a good to share, sort of unpacking. Now, whether I take a break from my podcast, that's a fairly, like in the scheme of things in my life, that's a fairly minor decision. It's a business decision, but there are some implications around it as well. And I thought I would share some of the process that I go through in making, decisions, certainly around some of the smaller events, but also those bigger events in life as well. So I hope that's a useful one for you. And I won't share. You'll need to stay till the end to hear whether I'm going to continue or take a bit of a break. So I guess where I start with is my gut. Like I really tune in. You've been listening, and if you're new here, go back and listen to some of the other podcasts. But I use my intuition a lot, and it's I've tuned into that more and more over the years. And just a little aside, it's just popped into my head. I do have a gorgeous little playbook called Whispers, Nudges and Goosebumps, and it's all about how to access your intuition. So we'll put the link for that in the show notes that you can. It's not very expensive to purchase, but it takes you through the process of how to access your intuition, your inner knowing, also your guides as well. So anyway, I tune into my intuition. I guess the first thing that I do is I ask myself, what do I really want here? Now, I'll use the podcast example as we go through this, but I'll use other examples when I'm with my other clients as well. But with my podcast, it's just like, what do I really want? Like, what do I really want with this? Because there's obviously something stirring in me to even question whether I will continue or not continue, take a break, shut it down completely, keep it going, all of those things there. And the first answer is often the one that is to pay attention to, and often we dismiss it. So when we're accessing our intuition, it's like, what do I really want? And then it's about getting quiet and listening. Now, listening can be, you might hear words, you might hear your inner voice saying it, you might hear, I can actually tell when it's me, Catherine, the human in me. I can tell when it's kind of coming from my conscious mind. I can tell when it's coming from an external guidance. It's just something that I've developed. And if you're interested in finding out more about that, I'd love to connect with you. But I ask myself, what do I really want? And then I shut up and I listen and go, what do I really, really want in relation to this podcast? And I can already feel it now. The answer comes from, I'm doing this with my hands, it comes from my gut. I can feel it coming up from my gut. So that's me knowing what my answer is. And then there's other threads that attach to that. But often, and I've been guilty of this in the past, that I will listen, I will ask that same question, what do I really, really want? There'll be something that comes up, but I ignore that. Or I dismiss it. Ignoring, dismissing, it's almost like there'll be an answer that will come up and I'll go, yeah, but that's going to be too hard. Or my mind then jumps in and goes, no, that's not going to be the best thing for us. But my gut is telling me that one thing, and my gut, my heart, and our actual guts and our brains are connected, but sort of the intuition, the element saying one thing, and then I'm just going, yeah, I'm not going to pay attention to that. And it generally comes back and bites me somewhere in the butt. And either it'll be that something hasn't worked out, or it worked out the way I thought it was going to work out, which is not what I wanted. Or it might just be come back and bite me that I've just regret something, that I didn't follow something that, oh my God, there are so many examples that are just flooding through in my head at the moment, and too many to go into because then I have to give you the whole backstory around those. But there's a lot of things where I'm just going, yeah, I didn't listen. Or maybe I listened, but I didn't act on. And to me, they're different parts of the process. So and often our gut feeling, that initial bit that comes up, either it happens really quickly and we miss it, or it happens and we don't pay attention to it. But if I'm really serious about the decision that I'm making, it'll be, I will tune in. I will make space to tune in and really grab the intuition before the logic starts to take over. And I feel it in my body. Like I can feel what yes feels like and what no feels like. I can feel, and this has been something that I've tuned into. I've learned to tune into it. And it was when I was doing, I guess where it became validated for me, or I really recognized it, was probably when I was a couple of years ago when I was doing my human design accreditation, and I was learning all about human design. And they talk about, what's a yes, feeling it in your body, and what's a no. And I'm just like, oh, what is my yes? Where do I feel it? Like when I feel like really lit up by something, how does that feel in my body? And I don't know, part of me, I think I've shared this before on my podcasts. I do get a bit of a blank about podcasts, to be really honest, once I've recorded them, to remember what I've said in them. I think I've recorded this before. And part of me doesn't want to share this with you because this is about putting myself out and being a little bit vulnerable around things. And I know a lot of you are listening to this. Some of you watch it on YouTube and you'll see the visuals of me. And when I show up online, it could be interesting, your observations, because I can see it really clearly in my body. And what it is around my mouth. And when I am really lit up by something, I get this, my lips, my top lips do this crunchy. It's almost like I'm screwing my lips up and I can feel it. And the lips, if we're looking at where our the chakras are in our face, like the root chakra is around our chin, the sacral is around our mouth, the solar plexus is our nose, the heart chakra is around our eyes, our throat chakra is our eyebrows, the third eye is where the third eye is, and our crown chakra is where the crown chakra is. So the chakras show up in our face. And if you think about when I am just like, oh my God, that just feels so incredibly good, my mouth does this crinkle and it's the top lip. And if you think about what sacral is, that's about creativity. It's about sexuality and sensuality. It's also part of our life force energy. And it's about fun and pleasure and creativity. And so to me, it's not surprising that it shows up here. And it'll be interesting. I watch myself. Sometimes I watch myself with one eye closed. It's this, this kind of interesting dynamic that I have. But so I know what a yes feels like. So even when I ask the question about what do I really want, I'm listening, I'm feeling, and I notice in my body where it shows up. So a yes, and what I would say is, what do I really want? And then notice where the feelings, sensations are. But the no for me, I can also distinguish that between the yes. And it also shows up in my mouth. And it's almost like a biting my lip. And it tends to be more of my bottom lip energy. And it's just like, yeah, it's like I'm holding myself back. If you think about the energy, the metaphor of that, it's like the top one's almost like this puckering up and kissing and this excitement and passion for it so I can feel it in my bottom lip so the yes is like this puckering up, kissing, passionate, and the bottom lip is like this holding back. I don't know if I want to do that or not. So anyway, so that's the what do I really want? Like trusting my gut is actually, it's really my main decision maker there. That's my main decision maker. And the other thing that I do when I'm thinking, like these aren't really in chronological order, except I always do ask what do I really want. I always do this first step. Then this next one has also been a bit of a game changer for me, and it's come from human design as well. And it's been about, I guess, giving me some more awareness into how I make decisions. And I am very much I have an emotional authority in human design language, which is about my decision making. That for me, it's really important, especially for those important decisions, those bigger decisions, not to make a snap decision. And it's probably, I would say that that's important for everybody. Like that's good decision hygiene, not to make snap decisions. But for me, it's about riding the emotional wave. That it's really important for me not to make a decision in the peak of my emotions when I'm feeling like super, super excited about things, and also not to be making decisions in the low of emotions. So to ride out that emotional wave, and I know there's a couple of things that stick in my mind. Like there's a million things that I have done, but there's a couple of big things that I have just been, somebody has asked me something in the moment, and I've kind of been swept up, and I've said, yes, I will do that. And then I've checked in with myself, like not even that long after, going, oh my God, why did I say yes to that? Because that is definitely not what I want to be doing, but I've kind of committed to it. And I've become my own worst enemy of saying, oh, yep, sure. And some of it's maybe that people pleasing stuff. Some of it's about, not wanting to let people down. But really, what I've recognized in myself is that it's really important for me to ride out that emotional wave. And what I say now is, let me think about it. So if somebody's asking me something and it's a big-ish, like if somebody's asking me out for a cuppa or a catch up, I don't tend to say, oh, let me think about it. Well, sometimes I do. But if it's a bigger kind of commitment, one of them I know was a speaking engagement that I had, and it just, in my gut, it was just like, this doesn't feel good. But I said yes. So I ignored that initial gut feeling. But what I say now is, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Well, that sounds like a great opportunity. There's a few things I need to check and then I'll get back to you. And I think that that's good decision-making practice anyway. But I've learned to really, really tune into that emotional wave. And I've sort of got this, it's not a hard and fast rule, but I've creating it more as my decision-making habits, is that if something's going to cost me more than, say, $300, that I won't buy it on the spot. Or if something's going to, impact my life, I will not make a decision within at least 24 hours on that. So don't ever pressure me. If somebody says, oh, you've got to make a decision now, it's like, well, okay, the answer's no. Because that's, number one, that's not cool to pressure. But number two, it's about me knowing my own responses. And I guess that's the same with that first one that I shared, is my body and knowing my responses to things. And that really, riding the emotional wave, has made a huge difference. It's made a huge difference to my online shopping, stuff in general, about, just that it stopped a lot of that impulsivity around things. And I also really think, and I guess this ties back to, what do I really want? But thinking about, if we go back to the podcast decision about whether I want to take a break or continue, it's like, what lights me up and what doesn't? And that really ties back into how I feel about things. So what lights me up about the podcast? I love sharing with the community. I love sharing my experiences. I really love being real time and kind of unpacking what's going on for me in real time. I love that. I love the spontaneity of things that'll just pop in. Like this topic today is really being in response to just some things that I'm going through in life. That's what I love. And that's another part of the human design, is I'm all about responding to things. I do not love planning and mapping things out. There's a friend of mine who has a podcast, and she has 6 months of weekly episodes mapped out. That would drive me absolutely bananas, because I have to feel into what it is that I'm talking about. There has to be meaning and purpose. I don't come onto the podcast, or I hope I don't. My intention is never, ever to come onto the podcast and just waffle, even though some of the chat does get a little bit sidetracked, but there's always a meaning and purpose. And I really try to unpack what's going on for me, because I know others are going through something similar, and that there'll be some little pearl that'll drop from that will help others to go through what they're going through. That's really what this podcast is about. And that's how you get the best from me. So that's what lights me up. that absolutely lights me up is being spontaneous, being able to share from my experiences. But I also think about, what don't I love about it? And it's okay to be spontaneous when I'm the only one that's involved in the process, but I'm not the only one that's involved in the process. I have a team that's working with me, and they need to work on a schedule. And it means that some of the spontaneity that I want isn't there. It's like, okay, you need to produce the next episode. You need to record the next episode. And it's just like, yeah, but I I'm not feeling into what that is at the moment. And that's challenging, to be able to show up and have the energy for something that is too, and not that this is too rigid or structured, but I'm just thinking now about other things in my life. I do not like rigidity in being too pinned down into a set schedule around things. And I even find now, like, there's a couple of the programs that I'm introducing. I've got the beautiful Queen of Your Life activation that I'm working on, that I'm doing the finishing touches, but and that's good. So working on that schedule. So that's a short-term project, but I've got a couple of programs in the new year that I'm wanting to launch, and I'm excited about them. But part of me is nervous, going, will I be excited about them when my schedule says now of when I'm aiming to launch them? That makes me nervous. I don't know if others are like that, but that makes me nervous. I've got here, I don't know, for those of you on YouTube, I've mapped out 12 months. I have mapped out 12 months. And it's, so we're now, when I'm recording this in November, this will come out, I think, in December. So I've got my November programs, I've got December, what I'm focused on, and I've just got high level stuff. So through to January, February, but in March, there's a big program that I'm wanting to launch in March, and another one possibly, I haven't got it on there, possibly in July, June or July, I think. Why have I not got, oh no, there it is. Hooly dooly. It's in May. Whew. So March is a big program that, so I'll be talking more about that in the new year. And the same in May. That makes me a bit nervous. It makes my, I'm very kinesthetic. I feel stuff in my body. I'm very, very in tune with my body. So even thinking about that schedule for next year, that makes my shoulders kind of like, but it's good to have a schedule, so that high level schedule. So I ask about what lights me up, what's kind of draining me. And then another element of that is like, what's working well and what's not working so well. So with the podcast, there's a whole lot of it that's working well. The processes that we've got in place are working well. My team is fantastic to be able to do the production of the podcasts and the associated content that goes with that. The team is spot on. I would say the things that are not working as well as I would like is me feeling into the topics and what it is that I'm wanting to talk about. So I guess the things that are working are me, not working are me and my energy around it. So, and elements of that is what's flowing easy, what feels heavy. So it's all the, different variations of that same question. And then when I sort of think about that, like what's working, what's not working as well as I'd like, is there anything I could be doing differently around it? So, once I start getting some of that insights, and one of the methods, and I use this a lot with my corporate clients, is that start, stop, continue. So once I've gone through and sort of done a bit of an analysis as to how are things going and what do I want, is what can I start doing? What do I need to start doing to get to where I want to be? Is there anything I need to stop doing? And is there anything I need to continue doing or to tweak? So this isn't about, a lot of people say, oh, we'll just start from scratch. I am very, very rarely a start from scratch kind of girl. I put a lot of thought into things, and it's just about, well, if something's working, why get rid of that? Why change what's already happening? So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So that start, stop, continue model I use a lot. And I also use another little model. Now, I don't use this for my, whether I'm going to continue the podcast or not, but for bigger life decisions. And I use this one a lot in corporate, is called the benefits and consequences model. And it's really thinking about what will happen if I do something and what will happen if I don't. So, what will happen if I continue the podcast? What will happen if I don't? What will happen if I take a break? What will happen if I don't take a break? And then I break that quadrant. I break it into 4 quadrants. So if it's a big decision, I write this down. So I like to get it out of my head so I can visualize it from a different perspective on paper. And the 4 quadrants, I have what are the positive things if and let's just work with the podcast example here. What are the positive things that will happen? Oh, sorry, before I even go down that, I just have so many different flow charts in my head. My brain works in flow charts. So I'm working here, will I take a break? But one of the other options is what happens if the options are continue, take a break, or stop. They're kind of the core options. So I'm just thinking about, will I take a break or not? Or, yeah, I think that's where I'm at the moment. So what will happen? What are the positive things that will happen if I take a break? What are the negative things that will happen if I take a break? And I sit and think about this from all perspectives. So the positive things are that I'll get re-energized, that, I might get meet some wonderful people that I can interview. I might sort of get some, things that I can talk about. So re-energized, I think, is the positive things. What are the negative things if I take a break? Well, losing momentum and I might not come back. I might not want to come back. Negative things are that it impacts my team, that who are working with me, because there's a flow-on effect and there's a whole other thing. So I think about what if I do the thing, what are the negative and positive consequences there, things that could happen. And then I think about, well, if I don't take a break, what are the positive things if I don't take a break? Well, I keep the momentum going, that my team will be happy, listeners will have that continuity there. What are the negative things if I take a break? I might not want to come back. And it's, I think I've got confused there where I was giving some examples because I didn't write it down. I need to see it when I write it down. So the positive things of if I do take a break, and then the positive things if I don't take a break, and then the negative things if I don't take a break. And anyway, when you have it visually, there'll be something that'll just jump out of the page at you. And it's probably a little bit hard for me to think about this one because I already know what the answer is. And it's not a big enough decision for me to actually think about needing to kind of analyze it in this space. But I use this benefits and consequences model a lot with my corporate clients. And as I said before, my mind really, it's like this one big flow chart of possibilities. And it's like if we do one thing, then what's a decision point there? And then, where's the next part in the decision-making process? And then, well, what if we do this? What might happen then? But if we go back and what if we do that? What might happen then? So it's this whole big, gosh, my mind, it is busy. And if you think about those really big visual flow charts and mind maps, that's what it's like inside this head of mine. I enjoy that. I find it overwhelming sometimes, but I really enjoy it. And I seem to have this ability that I can see things that others tend to have their blinkers on. And it's not saying that, that's better than others. It's just different. And I think that's a real beauty of working with my clients, is that I tend to be able to, go through that flow chart pretty easily and quickly, but also draw out some info for them that they hadn't really considered. And so my mind just maps that way, which is pretty cool. And I guess part of that is also about my decision making, is exploring future possibilities. So what could happen? what would I like? What are some possibilities of this future? And some of that comes from that benefits and consequences model. But I just think about, well, what are some of the future possibilities that I, future possibility is that I could take a break and I could get really refreshed and come back, and then the podcast takes a whole different, like gets this whole injection of energy infused into it, and it could, you know, that's really unlimited, what could happen there. A future possibility is that I could take a break and enjoy the break and really not want to come back to recording the podcast. And, you know, a future possibility is that I could just continue, that I don't take a break, but and I might just get my energy back anyway doing that. Or I could get resentful about it because it becomes a real chore for me. Or it could be that I don't take a break, but I still feel inspired. Or so this is how my brain works. That and some people, some of you listening will go, oh my God, that is just way too much stuff. Just make a decision. That there are times absolutely that I will just make a decision. But when there's something that's meaningful for me in life, and if you've got a sense of who I am, life is meaningful. So I take it really, really seriously, and I want my decisions to be informed decisions, and I really need to feel into them. And they're part of me about, I'm not just doing stuff for the sake of it. Like, I'm not just producing this podcast because it's tick done. That's not what this is about at all. So it's about going through different elements. And I was just reflecting, and these are kind of some of the core ones, or the ones that are being called forward now. I'm not saying that these are the only ones, but these are definitely the ones that, you know, some of my go-tos when I'm making decisions. So, yeah, it'd be interested even with your thoughts around things. So human design is a big, has been a really useful tool for me to get some insight. It's not the only tool, but it's helped me to kind of enhance some of my decision making. If you're wanting to have human design readings or analysis or coaching and mentoring around that, I do that. You can go to the link in the bio, and I think that would be I think it's a great tool. I don't rely on it for everything, but I think it's a really cool tool. There's also the Whispers, Nudges and Goosebumps playbook, which helps you to access your intuition. I think intuition is an incredible, oh my gosh, it's so powerful, so powerful. So there's Whispers, Nudges and Goosebumps. And if you do want to do some more, like, really deep dive into the coaching, I've got my Elevate coaching programs, which are the kind of the private one-on-one coaching. It's the higher touch, more intensive, deeper. We go deeper there, but there's a whole lot of the other stuff you can work with me as well. But the Elevate coaching program is really incredible, especially for people who are wanting to really make big changes to their lives. So I am, and I guess just even reflecting now that where I'm at is the decision about whether I will or whether I won't take a break on the podcast. I am going to take a break on the podcast, and you can probably sense that from what I was sharing with you. And I'm going to take the summer break for the podcast. So it's coming into summer here in Australia. It's coming into my favourite time of the year, which is holiday season. And I feel that I need a break from the podcast. And at this stage, it is a break. It's coming back. I'm aiming to come back in probably February or March. I'll take a couple of months off, probably March, in all honesty. So I am going to take a break, and I just need space to recalibrate. I just need to do a little bit more rest and recharge. And what I'm planning for with the podcast is to have more guest episodes next year. Like this season has been a lot of solo episodes, and that was in response to season 1, where I did a lot of guest episodes and a few solo episodes, and I got a lot of feedback that people wanted to hear more solo episodes, which has been great. But it's been high energy for me to, I was doing 4 a month. I was doing 1 episode a week, and then I needed to drop that back to just 2 a month. And I think that's a good cadence for me with the podcast. And I am feeling called to have more guest episodes again next year, next season, with a few solo episodes scattered through it, like a balance of, getting a bit more in balance. That feels good for me. And through those decision-making processes, that's what's come forward for me. And really, that came forward when I said, what do I really want? That came forward really quickly for me. So these additional bits are more around other processes I use for other decisions, not the answer for this came forward very, very quickly. But I've just been sitting with it, and I've made that decision quite some time ago. And this will be the final episode for this season, and it's been beautiful. Like I have really enjoyed it. And reflecting back on this season, a lot of it has been like all my podcasts, certainly my solo episodes and even the guest episodes, but are about me in real time. They're not planned, they're not scripted. They're about what's going on in my life right now, and to share with you, with the view that others will be going through something similar, their version of it. And it's about sharing some tools, tips, ways that people can navigate their own journeys. So it's not just me here sharing for the sake of sharing, or certainly that's not my intention. So, and a lot of this, I guess, this season, which has been, for the best part of the year, I guess, has been very much about my healing. And that has been about my healing and my reclaiming phase. And it's about that, moving to the coast, my growth, my, that seatbelt analogy that I shared with you, and feeling trapped and not being able to move forward, and then sort of working through that. And, so my solo episodes have been very much about my journey in this next phase of life. And I was reflecting on that this morning, and it's almost 2 years ago that we made the decision that we were going to sell up and move to the coast. And like we'd had the dream long before that, but it was 2 years ago that we went, right, this is action happening. And I can't believe that that's nearly 2 years ago, that decision. We've been here for nearly 18 months. So the selling up and the getting the house ready and the selling up phase was 6 months, and then we moved, and we've been here for nearly 18 months. Oh my God. Gosh, there's so much that's happened here. But really, if I was to sum that up, it's been about surrendering and healing and being quiet. And the seatbelt was absolutely there to hold me, strap me in, so I didn't go off and bypass that healing stuff. And one of the really big shifts was when I did my own Queen of My Life activation. That was in July of this year. And it has been just this beautiful, 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 beautiful process for me to really come back to me, really, to step back into my queen energy after the events of the last 2 years that have happened and prior to that. And I really enjoyed interviewing the guests, even though there hasn't been a lot of them. I have really enjoyed understanding people and what's going on in their lives, and being able to help bring out the information that we can also share with the audience. I really do enjoy that. I bounce off their energy. I love that energy of being with our guests. And so this next season will be what it will be. I'm not sure. I'm not planning that out. My essence is that it will be a few more guest interviews, probably still just 2 a month. I think that's a good cadence for me. That feels good for me at the moment, but I will revisit that. And I would love to know from you what you would like for the new season. If you would like to be a guest, let me know. I would love that. And when I say that to women, because there'll be something they'll share with me and I go, oh my God, that is just so interesting. And they're going, really? I would love to, if you're interested in being a guest, please DM me, email me. My details are in the show notes. You can contact me and let me know that would be fantastic. Thank you. But I'm not going to plan out. I'm not going to have 6 months worth of guest bookings in. That doesn't really work for me either. I like to record a little bit in advance, but also let me know some of the topics that you would be interested in. If there's more of the models that I use in my coaching you'd like to know, or if you've got challenges or issues that you're not sure how to manage, or you'd like just a different set of eyes on them, let me know that too, because that could be really cool. That could be cool. Actually, notice what my lips doing there? That could be really cool. If you, it's like when I'm working with a couple of coaches at the moment, and we have hot seat coaching, and it's like, submit your topic that you want some hot seat coaching on prior. See my lip? For those of you that are listening, I've got screwy kissy lip happening, and that could be really interesting. I feel that right in I can feel it. So I'm going to sit with it. I'm not going to commit to that, but that could be an interesting thing, that people submit topics and then we can talk about that. That'd be cool. And that'd be cool even to have another guest, another person, where we both provide some, views on those topics. That's cool. I like that. See my lip? I'm going to end up with those. It's like a smoker's lip. There, it's going to be my yes lip. So anyway, let me know. I've really loved the season. I hope you've loved it. But it's time for a rest. It's time for me to have a rest. Maybe it's time for you to have a rest, or go back to your favorite episodes, listen to them again, or catch up on the ones that you haven't had a chance to listen to yet. Big, big love. And I will be here in some form next season. See you then. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Happy Go Fabulous. I hope you loved it. If you did, could I ask a big favour? Please subscribe, leave a review, and most importantly, share the love and let your besties know about the podcast. This will help get it into the hearts and ears of all the gorgeous souls who need a little bit of fabulous in their life. If you'd like some more high vibe happiness in your life, come and visit me on my Happiness Hive socials, and make sure you've signed up to my newsletter, your weekly drop of juicy goodness. Pop over to my Happiness Hive website and click on the link Working with Catherine. I'd love to help you make life amazing. Until next time, keep being fabulous.